Hello, and welcome to the Connection Care Community podcast. My name is Majida, and this week we're going to be talking about cycle tracking, what I wish someone had told me before I started. Tracking your cycle can be empowering, but it's not always intuitive at first. Here's what I learned and still practice. Hi there. So when I first started tracking my fertility and reproductive health signs, cervical fluid, basal body temperature, cervix position, I remember thinking, wait, people actually do this daily? And then the bigger question, can I actually trust it to work for me? It felt like learning a new language, a little awkward, a little overwhelming, and honestly kind of lonely at times. But over time, through slowing down, tapping into mentorship, and checking in with others, I began to realize something important. Fertility awareness isn't just about tracking data. It's about growing a relationship with your body, with your cycle, with your goals. It's deeply, deeply personal. So here are some things I wish someone had told me before I started charting. A few simple tips and insights that I still remind myself and my clients of today to help make the practice of charting more grounded and accessible. It takes time to build confidence, and that's okay. Despite what social media might suggest, fertility awareness and overnight mastery do not go together. For most people, it takes a few cycles, at least I would say 3 to 6 cycles usually is what I tell my clients, but at least a few cycles, right, to feel fully confident in identifying your cervical fluid patterns, in understanding how temperature shifts reflect ovulation, in order to distinguish fertile versus non-fertile cervical positions, charting consistently without burnout or obsessing. All of those things take some time. And that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It means that you're learning a skill that no one taught you growing up. New skills naturally take time to pick up, and it's important to remember that that's okay. So why are learning new habits so hard? When you're learning something new, you're building neural pathways. There's a concept in psychology you may have heard. It's called the 4 stages of competence. First, the first stage, right? You don't know what you don't know. Everything is new. Everything is a learning curve. Then the next stage, right, is that you learn the method and suddenly become hyper aware of how much there is to track, how much there is to learn. And this stage can oftentimes feel like the hardest. Next, you start doing it correctly, but it still requires focus and intention. And then finally, the last stage, it becomes second nature. So for example, you check your cervical fluid when you go to the bathroom because it's just what you do, right? It's second nature. Or washing your hands after you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. Checking cervical fluid when you go to the bathroom can also become a habit, just like washing your hands after you go to the bathroom. Most people quit somewhere between stage 1 sometimes, and definitely a lot of people quit before stage 2 because it can feel really overwhelming to learn something new. But that discomfort is actually progress. With repetition, those neural pathways strengthen, and once that which felt awkward, it starts to become automatic. So, to give a little bit of a framework, research suggests that it takes anywhere between 18 and 254 days to form a new habit, with an average being 66 days. So that's around 3 months in. And if you still feel like you're figuring it out, then you are actually on the right track. How do you build habits that last? Here's what helps. It's called habit stacking. New habits stick best when we attach them to existing routines. So instead of trying to remember to take your temperature at 6 a.m., you link it with something you already do. Your alarm goes off, the thermometer goes in. Checking cervical fluid becomes another part of your bathroom routine, right? It takes just a few minutes. It's not a separate task, and it doesn't require any extra willpower. The need to be perfect is the literal enemy of learning anything new and forming any new habits. So please, please release the pressure to be perfect and give habit stacking a try instead. Really important note, charting doesn't have to be solo. I've been practicing fertility awareness for almost 20 years, 2 decades at this point, and I still get second eyes on my chart sometimes. Why? Because I value having a second perspective, especially if my cycles are shifting. Fertility and reproductive health goals can change, and so does the charting focus. Life impacts charting patterns, whether it's stress or illness, travel, transitions, all of it shows up. And even seasoned practitioners like myself benefit from support. So if you're trying to conceive, avoiding pregnancy, or dealing with hormonal imbalances, don't hesitate to reach out and get some help. Whether it's through a class or through a consultation or a community, all of which, if you want any tips on or support around, please do reach out, right? Reach out to me. Just know that you deserve guidance. It's important, very important to note that accuracy is more important than aesthetics. Don't stress about your chart looking pretty, right? Even though I don't fault you if you want to make your chart look pretty, if it feels good to do so, right? The chart doesn't have to be this aesthetic thing unless it feels good for it to be something that is aesthetic to you. What really matters is clarity and consistency. That means checking cervical fluid when you ripe, not at random times, right? You can check it when you go to the bathroom, taking your temperature at roughly the same time every day, recording what's real, not what you wish was happening. That's a big one. And why it's really great to have some pairs of eyes on your charting experience. It's important, very, very, very important to ground in that your body is not a machine. Every cycle tells a slightly different story. And the goal isn't perfection, it's pattern recognition. Your signs will reflect your whole life. Cervical fluid might shift with stress. Temps may be off if you slept poorly. Your cervix might feel different after intimacy or exercise. This is why fertility awareness is so powerful. It shows you more than just when you're fertile. It shows you how your whole self is doing. How to not be confused? Well, get curious. Become interested in your body and what your body is telling you. It's information, and you can work with your body. You can work with the information your body shares. As I always share, you can ask for help and still be empowered. Fertility awareness is fundamentally about agency, but it's also about support. Somewhere along the way, we got the idea that being empowered means figuring everything out alone, and that asking for help was somehow admitting defeat. I learned this the hard way. There were months when I would stare at my chart, second guessing every temp, wondering if I was interpreting things correctly. The moment I finally reached out to a trained fertility awareness educator and said, "Hey, can you look at this with me?" the relief was immediate. Think about it. You're learning to read signs that most doctors don't even discuss, interpreting patterns that shift from month to month, and making decisions about your fertility based upon what you observe. That can be a lot to carry, and you don't have to do it all alone. The most empowered people I know are the ones who build strong support systems. They know when to lean on someone else's expertise, when to get a second opinion, and when to stop spinning in confusion and just ask. Having someone who can say, "Yes, that's ovulation," or "Let's look at this differently," can be the difference between feeling lost and feeling confident. So if you're feeling unsure whether you're seeing fertile quality type fluid, noticing weird temp patterns that don't align with ovulation, or you're wondering if your method matches what you're trying to conceive or conscious conception goals are, reach out. Right? Schedule a check-in, take a class, join the community, all of which I offer here at Connection Care Therapy. because asking for help doesn't take away from your empowerment. It actually deepens it. So if you're interested in support, like I've shared, I offer one-on-one consults. I also have soon to be coming out, if you're listening to this later on in, say, 2026, for example, my Cycle Connection course may already be out at that time. If you're one of my first enrollers here in the Connection Care community, then my course will be launching soon, called the Cycle Connection. And I also offer a robust free resource library. If you go to my website at www.connectioncaretherapy.com and you go to the free resource section, you can see a bunch of really great resources to help you feel at home with your charting practice. So as always, know that you do not have to do this alone. Also, you can check out a blog of mine that I wrote called Fertility Awareness 101 that breaks down the basics of fertility awareness. You can either here on Substack, go to this Substack article that I'm doing this podcast for and click the link Fertility Awareness 101, or you can visit my website and go to the blog section and just type it into the search and you'll find it there. So now it's your turn. I would love to know what interests you about the charting practice. If you already have a practice, why did you pick it up? What have you learned about yourself and your body? I just love to learn more about you and your journey. So let's keep the conversation going, and I'll catch you in the next podcast. And until then, with warmth and connection, Majida.